Okay, first I want to thank everyone for coming to learn more about the fentanyl grant that was just announced last week. We're going to start with Ana Lopez, who is our program grant management supervisor. And then we also have Jillian Trickett, and she is going to help walk us through, or she'll show us her screen, and we'll walk through the application and how to work your way through that in applying for this grant. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ana.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to start off by saying that this webinar is to go through the online grant management system that we use, which is ZoomGrants. We will be having a training either later this week or next week regarding content, best practices, kind of what type of projects could be funded, that sort of thing. We'll have people with that type of expertise on here in the next about week or two. So please keep your eye out on the website for that announcement. With that, I'm going to start going through the online system. Again, it's called ZoomGrants. And we'll give Jillian a second to start showing it.
I'm not able to share. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Hold on one second.
Are we supposed to, Ana, introduce ourselves and everyone? I don't know if you're doing that.
I wasn't going to in the interest of time.
Okay.
Staff?
That's okay with me.
Okay.
All right, Jillian, I made you co-host, so you should be able to share.
Thank you. I'm trying again.
So I'm just going to start. So the first thing on when you get on is a project name of your or a title. If you could be descriptive, even say like Grand Junction fentanyl program, but a lot of people will put just fentanyl program or fentanyl program 2022, and so that we end up with multiple applications that have the same name. So anything you can do to give us an idea of who you are in that title, even though the title should be short, that is helpful to us. Jillian's not showing that part, right? Yeah.
I can't see what you guys can
Oh,
see.
there we go. Okay.
Okay. Is that good?
There's the project name, project title. The next one is the amount requested. This ZoomGrants is not, it doesn't tie fields together or tie information together. So you will have to put the amount requested manually in this. It doesn't calculate off of anything. And so then you'll want the budget. You'll want to make sure the budget and this field match up. That's really important. The next thing is the name of the applicant and the applicant information. I'm going to let Cindy actually talk about that. I don't have that experience with the organization.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that. Real quickly, though, I want to go back to the project title. We also have a lot of agencies that put their agency name as a project title, and then we have a duplicate. So we don't want to see that either if you can do that. So the project really, the title should really be a short, brief title, kind of like a newspaper headline that tells you what you're applying for the funds for. So, you know, so you're going to come in as like Golden Police Department, and then we don't want to see a project title called Golden Police Department. So if that makes any sense, I would just add to that title explanation. Now to go back to the applicant information, that is your applicant of your account owner, usually when that comes through. So whoever signs up the ZoomGrants account sets up the applicant information. So if it's going to be a police department or sheriff's department or whatever, you can name that however you see your department. Where it comes in different is the organizational information, the applicant agency name, legal entity. It'll be on an organizational tab. And that has to be the legal entity name. If it's not, when that's validated, that field will be updated and changed for you. So let's say it's the Golden Police Department applying for funds, and that's going to be the applicant agency. And you're going to have your first name, last name of the account owner that comes in, however that comes in. And the organizational tab is the legal entity. So that would be the city of Golden. Okay, because the contract will be awarded to your legal entity, not just your department within that city or county. And then I don't know what else to say. The CEO, executive director, that's going to be who has legal authority to go into contract. So that's going to be your, if it's a city, it's going to be either your town city manager or your mayor. If it's a county, it's usually the chair of your county commission, unless a sheriff or somebody like that has authority to contract on behalf of that county government. I think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, I'll just
No?
add on,
Okay.
I'll add on this that if you already have an account, you'll use the account that you already have on ZoomGrants. You will not set up a new account for this funding source. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. The next one really starts the application with the question statement of work. The project dates are going to be March 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. So you will put that start date, end date in your application. If you're going to defer from that, say you only want a 12-month grant, then please put that in your explanation as to why 12 months will get you to the goals and objectives. There's a question. If our city manager has changed, who do we get with to make sure that is correct?
At this point, yeah. Jerry, are you talking about an existing ZoomGrants account? Yes. Who is your grant manager on that? You can just contact me if you like, and we can get that fixed. It depends on your grant. If you have an existing grant, oh, it's you? Okay. Yeah, if you have an existing grant, you would have to do a change in signing authority. For this one, on your signature page, your official page, you can just put the new city manager's name. And we'll have to officially change it on your other grants. You did that already.
Great.
Okay. You can call me, Jerry. You have my number. Just give me a call and we can walk through specifically what grant it is, okay?
Okay, so the next question, number 3, is the applicant contact. This person is not not necessarily has to be an official on the grant, but it's the person who's filling out the application, the person who would be able to answer questions about the application, whether we have a question about a budget or some type of clarifying information we need. That's who you should list here as the primary contact. Make sure you give us your name, phone number, and email address in case we need anything along the way. So getting to that, then after that is your project director. The project director should be the person who oversees the day-to-day program or knows what the day-to-day program is doing. Somebody who could give us an answer to some questions almost immediately, that sort of person. The person also should be a member of the agency. So all of these officials need to be employees of the agency. In special conditions, we can talk about that and see if anything else makes sense. Some of the smaller agencies I know contract out some of the financial stuff. And so for those things, just call us and we can talk through what makes sense for you all. So you will need the project director. This person is the person responsible for the grant overall. You will be the one signing off on cash requests, on financial reports, on the narrative reports, and anything else like that. Is there any questions? Okay. The financial officer, as I mentioned, the financial officer should also be a member of the organization that is applying. You'll enter their information. If you are a smaller agency and you don't have a financial person that's on staff, again, please call us and we'll talk through that. The next one is the signature authority. Cindy mentioned this has to be the person who is authorized to go into contract on behalf of the agency applying. So this becomes one of the most important parts that gets validated. We have to ensure that that person does have that authority and other information. Let me ask Cindy. Cindy, do you have anything else on that?
No.
Nope. Okay.
All covered.
So just make sure that this person is the person authorized to go into contract. If it's not the usual person, if it's not your county commissioner, if somebody else, you need to provide us the policy and procedure or a letter that states that they have that authority to go into contract. So make sure you have that. Next, we get into number 14, which is really the meat of the project, right? What's your statement of work? We're going to start with a project summary. It's going to be a little bit shorter than other areas, but we want to know, what are you proposing? Why are you proposing that? What's kind of what are you trying to solve or fix? Who's going to do it? At what time frame and where? So kind of the who, what, where, when questions need to be answered succinctly in this question 14 project summary. The next one will be your project description, and this will be the longer one where you'll talk about the details of what your strategy is, the details of what you're going to be implementing, whether that's, let me see.
Sorry, I'm getting that.
That's okay. Okay, so number 15, project description. You're going to describe the details of the program or the strategy that you're going to implement. You're going to tell us if it's evidence-based. You're going to tell us if you designed it based on another state doing this work with success. You're going to tell us exactly who's going to do the project, what they're going to do, what the impact is going to be if you successfully implement the project. The next one is going to be, does your project include any of the following activities? These are in the legislation as activities that are eligible for these funds. And so you're going to tell us which one of these your project falls under. And then the next one, number 17, is to describe the number and rate of overdoses. So just the data, we need the data. We need you to give us everything that's requested in this question, and just make sure that you have really answered this question thoroughly. The next one is going to be the existing program. So we want to know that you're not duplicating something that's already in the community. And if you are going to duplicate or enhance something, that you're really clear about that how you're going to work with that existing services to either enhance it or do more of it, right? So if you're serving clients and you can only fund a certain amount, but these funding would get you more clients, then you want to explain that well in that question as well. Number 18 is going to be the barriers, and then the barriers encountered in the death and distribution interdiction. Number 20 is going to be the plan. So you're going to describe the barriers. Of course, you're going to describe, I think I went over the same one. Sorry about this. I have new contacts as well as hearing aids, so I'm trying to keep up. Now, number 21 is going to describe your experience level conducting fentanyl or other synthetic deaths The reason I'm just reading the titles is because I don't have any experience in these areas. And so the content is what you'll get in the next training. The next training, again, will be recorded and posted if you're not available to be live on that. And that's where you can ask kind of the questions about, what has worked. If you need clarification on what should go into this question, you can ask that at that time. So number 22 is that gaps in knowledge and experience in the interdiction. And then the last one on this page is number 23. Project entails an evaluation or analysis. A lot of people skip this or just put, one sentence answer. It is really important that we know how you're going to measure success, who's going to do that, what are you going to collect in order to do that, and what you'll do with the analysis of that information. Next question, next one, Jillian. So your goals and outcomes, you are going to put what your goal is, and then you are going to put your outcomes should be the subset of that. So your goal is the larger scale, what do you want to accomplish? And then the outcomes are how are you going to get there, right? So if you want to accomplish turning something red, that your outcome would be that you're going to buy a crayon that's red, right? So it has to link logically to that goal. You want to make sure that you put in the measurement and the time frame. That gets missed a lot of times, but it is something we need, especially if we're going to contract with your organization. We need all of these details before we do this because it becomes our scope of work. So please, if you have questions, let us know. There's space for 3 goals and objectives or outcomes. You saw me, you heard me slip. We use outcomes and what's the word? Objectives. Sorry, we use outcome and objectives back and forth. And so please think of the outcome as an objective. I know people get lost in that language sometimes, as I just did. So just want to make sure that whatever you call it, that your outcome, your objective is there and it clearly ties to the other questions that you just answered in the other page. Again, the project evaluation. So this, yes. Okay, that's it on that one then. The documents requested, if you are going to have personnel, you will upload those. There is a documents tab. You can see that on the picture there. So anything that we're requesting, in addition, you'll have a place to upload that in that documents tab. So if you have an organizational chart, because you're having personnel, you want to clearly tell us where that person that you're going to hire is in the org chart in the organization. The indirect cost rate, if you have an indirect cost rate with either another state agency or with the federal government, that you upload that letter that states that in this section as well. And then for the budget, we'll be using a budget worksheet. If you've done ZoomGrants before, you know that there's some built-in tables, but instead we're going to use the budget worksheet. So we can have you break that budget down into kind of a year 1 project, the March 1st through the June 30th, 2023, and then the July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. Sorry. Oh my God. Sorry about this. So you'll use the budget worksheet instead, and we can show you that here. Those dates are going to be here on the budget worksheet. It's separated by personnel and non-personnel. And so you'll have a spot to put personnel for the first part of your project and then a second spot for that second year.
Anna, did you want me to go through these sheets?
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, because this money runs more than one state fiscal year and we get our appropriation every fiscal year, we are required to split up that money by the state fiscal years. So you're going to have a personnel for July, March through June. If you scroll up, I'm reading the screen. The first table will be March 1st, 2022. That should be 2023, by the way, to June 30th, 2023. So we'll make that change. And that would be the first fiscal year. It's going to run only about 4 months in that fiscal year. Then anything that starts July in your expenses that you anticipate starting July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 is on this year 2. So you would split those up by the state fiscal year. There's going to be a budget, a personnel tab, and there's a non-personnel tab. So that's the personnel. The non-personnel is for all other budget categories, also split up with those timeframes, March 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2023, and non-personnel for July 23 through June 24. That is when the money goes away as of today. That's when the money will go away as of June 30th, 2024. So currently at this point in time, you cannot get any activity or expenses covered by the grant past June 30th, 2024. So we've given you basically on the non-personnel 10 lines of each budget category for each fiscal year. So supplies and operating would be your basic supplies and operating that you need for the project. Travel would be any lodging, per diem, anything like that that you would have due to traveling for some purpose on the project. Equipment is defined as $5,000 per unit and a useful life of more than 1 year. So if it's under that $5,000 per unit cost, you want to budget that in supplies and operating. Consultants would be any professional type services that you're contracting for. So if you're going to be contracting with a lab, or you're going to be contracting with some kind of a technician that's going to do science work, I'm guessing, because I don't know what kind of things you guys are going to do here, that is not on your payroll, that would go in your consultants and contracted professional services budget category. Indirect, if you have any indirect in there, there's only one line for that because that's the indirect. You figure it on the amount of money you're receiving. If you have indirect, you have an approved indirect cost rate, that's what you're going to have to want to upload if you do put money in indirect. If you don't, and you're going to use based on other rules like the federal de minimis, you'll want to outline that that's where you're calculating your indirect cost rate. So if you're going to use that modified total direct cost, please explain that in your budget narrative for this. Also, anything in the budget, each item in your budget, in the budget narrative, you need to show how you determine the cost. That's how we determine whether it's reasonable and allocable. And basically, we need to see that there was thought put in to the amount you're requesting for that item. If it's a vendor quote, you can simply say vendor quote, and you're always welcome to upload that vendor quote on the documents tab. So basically, we want 5 computers. I'm going to throw that out at a per unit cost of $1,000 each for $5,000 total. That's the kind of thing we want to see in a budget narrative to justify the cost. I went kind of fast. Does anybody have any questions on that? No? For personnel, the budget narrative should include, if it's going to be a new hire, something like that. How do you figure the salary amount? Is it so much bi-weekly? Is it an hourly rate? What does the fringe include? Like health, life, dental, at what rate? What's the percentage of all the fringe and what it includes? That's what we need to see in the budget narrative for personnel. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay, that about does it for the budget worksheet. Once that's completed, you would just upload it. So you'll download it, fill it out, save it, upload it back to the Documents tab. Right on the right, you'll see an upload button. And I don't know if Jillian can show that screen again. I'm going to bother her.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Just-
A lot of people have trouble finding the upload button to upload these documents. So it would be helpful to see where it's at. It should be right to the right on the Documents tab where you download. There's an upload button on the right-hand side of the screen, all the way to the right. And right there where you downloaded the budget worksheet, you'll want to upload, hit the upload button, and you pick your saved file, and it will upload it. Okay. Any question about that? All right, hopefully I've got that. If anybody has any questions, please email me or reach out. I'll put my info in the chat.
So if there aren't any other questions, we will let you guys go early, of course. We will be hosting what we call office hours. Usually on Tuesdays, we have an hour set aside. You can log on and ask any questions that you have come up that as you're doing the application. Anything else, Kelly?
No, just that we will email you out the date for the technical webinar around best practices and give you the opportunity to ask some questions around possible projects. If you haven't put your email yet in the chat, please do, and I'll make sure you get the date for that. It'll also be posted on the DCJ website as well. And that's it.